This is More Than Construction, a Journey Group podcast about building community. Hello, and welcome back to More Than Construction. I'm Nathan Walter alongside Darin Hage. Darin, welcome back. It's been a while.
Yeah,
How you been?
Yeah, I'm lonely.
It's so sad.
We're glad to have you back and to speak especially on this episode because you've got quite a bit of personal experience with what we're going to be talking about. I'm really excited about this. But as we dive in, Journey Group is a construction company building communities in the South Dakota region. But we wouldn't be much of anything without the partners and businesses we build with. And it's often those very partners who enable and inspire us to provide more than just construction services to the community that we're building. And the highlight of today's episode is exactly that. We have joining us on the show a partner who both enables and inspires and even pushes us to be better and better, to live our mission of positively impacting lives by building community. We want to focus on that relationship today, the ways we individually impact our communities, the way our partnership impacts community, and the many ways that Avera Health and Journey Group provide more than construction to real individuals. So today we have joining us and representing Avera Health, Garrett Peters, Vice President of Facilities at Avera. Welcome.
Thank you.
As well as our own Darin Hage, Vice President of Journey Construction, with a long history of working with Avera. Mark Lukonen, Senior Project Manager of our Special Projects team, we're still calling it now, kind of our carpentry renovations team within Journey Construction. And as I mentioned earlier, Darin Hage, who also has a long career of managing Avera projects. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Good morning.
Great to be here.
So we're going to start off with just a quick introduction and maybe a little bit about each of you. Garrett, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Tell us about who you are, your history at Avera. Maybe give just a little overview for the listeners who aren't in the South Dakota Midwest region, who might not be familiar with Avera Health. Give just a little overview of who they are and then what you do at Avera.
Sure. So I guess brushing on who Avera is, we're a health system. I want to say it's like 300 communities, 37 hospitals, 5 states, wow. Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa. A little about me, Vice President of Facilities. I'm a registered architect for Avera. Been there coming up on 20 years. Maybe it is 20 years already. Been in construction for a little over 30 years. So moved up through Avera. Started as an architect for them and moved up, was director of facility development and now vice president of facilities, in charge of all construction, remodeling, and working with all the different hospitals and regions and trying to make sure we get what we need as far as buildings, facilities, helping out staff, keeping them working together as a system. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's great. We're excited to talk more about that history with Avera and specifically in the realm of facilities and construction and that sort of thing. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Darin, you've been on the podcast before. So rather than maybe giving your bio, why don't you tell us about your favorite Avera project that you've been involved in?
God, it's going to be hard. There's so many.
Yeah, there are. I think they're all still standing.
I know this is going to be...
Well, behavioral health.
Yeah.
Rebuild.
Got some issues that the tornado helped with.
Boy, it's tough because they've all been impactful for different reasons, whether it's the project itself or just what the project does, like the emergency department and different functions that we've built and touched, all over. I would have to say my favorite project was the Prairie Center.
Yeah.
That was a big leaping off point for our company.
Definitely.
And just in terms of the size and scope of what that was. And it was just a fun project to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a big project.
It was.
At the time.
Very big project.
Very impactful in the community and actually in the whole region with cancer care and the design, everything. It was getting the community involved. I mean, there was all these committees and everything. Everybody was involved. So that was a good project.
Yeah. It was.
So Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're new to the podcast. Tell us who you are, what you do within kind of this special projects team, and then specifically with Avera, how you work with them.
What do you do, Mark?
So speaking of the Prairie Center, that's where I got my start as well as a project engineer 15 years ago this spring. got my start with Journey and with Avera all at the same time. Kind of grown up with Avera. Started as a project engineer, spent 3 years in that role before moving into project management of the renovation work at Avera McKinnon Hospital. Started in 2011 there. Darin had done that role. Aaron had done that role, both for 2 or 3 years apiece. Yeah. I'm now 12 years into it. So I'm didn't get away. Yeah.
I had to convince Darin to let me go build new structures.
It's a lot of begging and
Darin, I want to do new buildings.
Yeah.
I want to do buildings.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I think when I was doing that role, I started maybe a year or two before Garrett.
Before
I remember
started,
when you came on, Garrett. And so, we've been working together a lot of years.
That's awesome. And Aaron, similarly, you are a veteran to the podcast by now. So tell us your favorite Avera project.
Oh, definitely Avera on Louise. It's corner 69th Louise. I think at that time that was the largest project we had ever constructed. Yeah. So it was definitely a tricky project. And, there's MOB and hospital side, and we essentially built the MOB hospital piece all kind of at the same time. So it was kind of 2 projects in one. But great project. And
I think Dick Mulsey always said it was the largest project in Sioux Falls at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, since there's been Amazon, some other ones, but
Still.
yeah.
That's incredible. Let's talk about kind of that history of our partnership. How did these two organizations initially get connected? How long have they been working together? I just think this partnership is so cool and unique to Sioux Falls and the Sioux Falls community. Tell us about that partnership.
Yeah, I guess I can start. I think the bulk of it really started in the 80s. A lot of expansion was going on McKinnon's campus that we were a part of. We did the physician's office building and then the south parking ramp. There was a big bay addition where the pool's at and, just right in the heart of where all of the buildings are at. And then an vertical expansion of the women's center, which was, right on top of the main buildings there too at the time, which, at that time, McKinnon had a lot smaller footprint, but our renovation work kind of went hand in hand with that. And Mark Peterson, who was an old principal at our company, he was an architect as well and did a lot of the drawings by hand of just kind of hand scratching different renovations inside the campus. Gary Haskell, who's been a longtime superintendent for us, retired last year, but was on campus since I think it was 82 maybe.
Wow. Yeah, it was early 80s because he said he thought of himself as an Avera employee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where he was always at.
Before Mark and I were born.
Yeah. That's right.
And he never left. I mean, so it's such a sign that, how that came together and it's just been so fun to see that grow and evolve through the years. It's something we really value a lot. Just fun to see the history and all the things we've been able to do together.
Absolutely. I think a big part of the longevity of this relationship has to do with the similarity of our mission and vision and really the core values of what makes up both of our organizations, kind of that DNA piece. And so I want to just talk about the comparison of our mission statements. So as you've heard on this podcast many, many times, our mission at Journey Group is to positively impact lives by building community. And Avera's mission is scary similar in how focused it is on positively impacting our community. This is from Avera's website. As a health ministry rooted in the gospel, Avera's mission is to make a positive impact in the lives and health of persons and communities by providing quality services guided by Christian values. You guys want to talk about why those mission statements matter and what it means to you to work with someone who has such a similar mission statement?
One thing that popped in my head when Darin was kind of explaining Gary Haskell's long-lasting tenure up on campus, I think, one thing to relate it to the mission is Gary realized that patients and Avera's, serving patient came first. Construction was second nature. So that long-lasting relationship had a lot to do with just understanding how they operate, how, the patients need to travel through those zones, how everything we do comes second. Yeah. So I think that really helped foster that relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and going back to that, I mean, with Gary and several other of your employees, they kind of look at those projects as their own.
Yeah.
They treat the projects like that. They run them like that. It's sticking up for the project and kind of seeing it that way that makes a big difference. And that translates into quality, and that's one of the things we have to have in healthcare. So
Gary was someone who was a long-standing fixture up there. We've had superintendents that have come and gone in support roles to Gary. And it really shows the people that have stuck up there are the ones that are passionate about what they do and truly believe that the service they're providing allows Avera to serve their customers. Mike Lum is our current lead superintendent on the facility.
Yeah.
He truly buys into
he
Avera's
has that
mission.
kind of same mentality that Gary had, where it's the hospital first, and we're a part of this and looking out for it. And a lot of the Journey employees are the same way. They're looking out for Avera like they are a part of the Avera team. So that's where they stand out.
It's training our new employees it's really easy. You just tell them, just do the right thing, tell the truth. There's no smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
There's no shell games that go on. It's just tell the truth, be a part of the team, and do the best job you can up there. And we get great employees that are passionate about the opportunities they get on a daily basis.
Yeah. And what a cool impact on even our employees too, to tangibly see the personal lives that they're affecting through the work that they're doing. I think that kind of lights a fire under you, when you can see that, wow, okay, I'm framing a wall or whatever, but this is a wall for a patient room, and someone's going to stay here and be cared for here. And that person could be in the hallway. That's really cool.
Some of the messaging that we have for people, because our construction activities are impacted if there's a surgery taking place, or you have a patient that's having an adverse reaction to the noise that we're making.
Yeah.
And it's always pitched to the guys like, what if that was your grandmother, your dad, your sibling sitting in the room next to you? It really is patient care first. Elevators, patient staff always get preferred status in those. And just little things how we move through the facility. We try to be in the shadows and try not to be a distraction for the care that's happening on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. So shifting gears maybe just a little bit, Garrett, you're the Vice President of Facilities.
Yeah.
Tell us how you see the facility side of Avera Health impacting people. And we've talked about the relationships and that sort of thing, but Avera's buildings and facilities are very unique and very special and very innovative. How do you approach the facilities management side of things through the lens of impacting people?
It's the patient's perception and their family's perception of the facilities. If they see a rundown facility or falling apart, crumbling, or dirty even facility, it's healthcare. They're going to not appreciate that and probably not want to come back. Yeah. So we have a lot of old buildings. We have several buildings and campuses that are over 100 years old.
Yeah.
And so it's, maintaining those, doing the upkeep on them, keep them looking good, clean, and well-maintained, because they don't think they're going to be well taken care of if the facility is falling apart and if it's not clean and it's dirty. So we try to focus on that and not necessarily just all new buildings. Like I said, we've got a lot of them that were built in the 1911 up in Aberdeen, 1919 on the McKinnon campus.
Wow.
And it's been additions since then. McKinnon, majority of that campus is 40, 50 years old. Yeah. And so it's a lot of remodeling. And then also with that, it's the healthcare needs have changed and how things are done have changed and changes every year. That's why Gary was on there for 40 some years or whatever. So we're constantly doing updates, remodels, moving things around, trying to get things more efficient for staff and make things flow a little better. So it's an ongoing process. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think that also ties into how Journey likes to approach things as well. One of the themes that's been fun on this podcast that has kind of come out just organically has been this idea of restoration and preservation, that a lot of people, when they look at a construction company, they don't necessarily think of that side of it. They think, well, bulldoze it and start over. And that's what construction is. But
there's a lot of people that have that attitude.
Yeah. But there's a huge aspect of preserving what is already there and maximizing dollars and resources to keep an existing structure going and looking beautiful and new, that I think is something that we as a company value and something that is a big part of Avera too, that I think is cool.
Because the other thing that comes into play with that is we can't just go and doze our buildings because we have to stay operational and we got to keep everything going. So that's why a lot of our projects end up being 6, 7, 8 phases and you can only take a little piece at a time. And then it depends on patient census and how busy things are. And so we may shut down construction for a month or so on a phase and then come back to it.
Yeah.
You got to keep things running and progressing. So you can't just shut down a hospital and do remodeling and then open again in a month. So,
Yeah, I remember one of the most challenging was when we did the emergency department expansion on the north side, and the whole grading had to be raised. And so it was the whole front entrance of the ambulance, the patient entry, all of it. And we had to tear out all of that completely and redo it.
The outside walls you tore off, and we were still running, and there's plastic up. And
But I think that site plan of paving these small sections just to keep access at all times 24/7.
Small
it was,
parking lot.
I think we had 8-9 phases, just small little chunks to keep that site, operational. And it's stuff like that that's been really fun to just, bring our ideas to the table. And that's Avera, and Garrett specifically just really, respects those. And it's fun to work with that because Garrett will challenge us, and he'll,
in a good way, right?
Yeah, but it really is in a good way. It's healthy and it's better for the project. There's times where it's like, that date isn't going to work. We need to do something with that or that budget, And we've had years of doing that together, and it's just been fun to see the final products that have come out of that. And I think that process has gotten so refined on how we do that it's hard for us too when you go outside of that and it's not fully embraced, and it can be hard to to do that kind of impact on some of the cost modeling. And I know that when you talk to other healthcare facility administrators, they'd kind of ask you, like, how are you getting that done on that cost per square foot, or that type of thing. And
so it's cutting out a lot of the unnecessary steps. It's working together. Things just go a lot smoother when you work as a team as opposed to not, I guess, because there's some trust there. There's a lot there's some give and take, and there's knowing that they know what they're doing and that they're getting the whole concept of what you're trying to accomplish. So it's a process, but it's good.
Yeah, and so enabled by that like-mindedness. When you're both looking at this project, not from a project perspective, but from a lives impacted perspective, things just kind of fall into place differently, and when you're so in line, they fall in place the same way. So you don't have that kind of clashing that happens just naturally in other spheres of construction. But
one thing I had, there's not clashing, but there's challenging.
Yeah.
And
disagreeing. Garrett, we disagree on some stuff.
Yep. And Garrett, has his design partners that, as we work through design on projects, when looking at cost, schedule, phasing, whatever it is, challenging each other. How do we bring efficiencies to it? So having those relationships allows you to do that, because we all know we're working towards the common goal, and and then we're really trying to bring the best out of everybody during that planning.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are almost out of time. I want to hit this last bullet really quickly and just kind of look at the broader impact that Journey and Avera's partnership are having. We've wrapped up several new Avera projects just recently. And then we've kicked off several new Avera projects recently as well. Let's just highlight those real quick, kind of what's going on in the Avera construction sphere, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, I guess recently in the renovation world, we just finished up a couple projects over in Marshall, therapy clinic, and then another clinic in the hospital. That project took 9 months between those two areas. So I guess the work we do with renovations and then the new buildings expands far beyond Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
So Marshall, Minnesota, we've currently got a project in Pierre right now, doing a new pharmacy for them. We'll be starting a project in Yankton here shortly, redoing their emergency department. Dialysis was another project that we supported up in Brookings recently. But here in Sioux Falls, we've got some work going on at the North Central Heart Clinic right now, taking administrative space, turning that into a clinical space, a new cafeteria on the McKinnon campus. 2 East, we're going through all of those pods. That's a 5-phase project, updating existing patient rooms to provide more modern care and a better experience for those patients. And then just a whole slew of ongoing budgeting, pricing, forecasting, something that we provide and support Avera to so that they can make the decisions and get the projects done that they need to. But a lot going on, as always. We've probably got 20 renovation projects going on right now across the campuses.
Yeah. That's amazing.
On the new side, we are going to be starting a project out in Platt, an addition remodel out there that affects multiple services that Avera provides in Platt.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we just finished up the East Clinic.
Yeah.
Finished up Gregory.
Yep.
This new hospital,
Both
clinic,
beautiful
nursing home.
facilities.
Yeah.
Behavioral health wing, I guess,
Oh,
was
yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Yeah, we're still finishing up a few odds and ends things. Playground goes in this summer.
Nice. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say there's a lot going on. It's exciting, though. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you, guys, for this discussion. Thanks for coming in, talking about Avera and building community together. It's such an integral part of who we are and what we do here, and I think who Avera is as well. So thank you for your partnership, and thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Please remember to follow and share this podcast. That helps us, and it helps you stay up to date on new episodes that come out. Journey Group's mission, again, is to positively impact lives by building community, and we love to partner with people who do the same through their specific industry. Join us again next time as we continue to explore what it means to do more than construction. Thanks for listening.